Hello, hello, hello. Today we are going to be diving into two of these programs. One is a book, one is a program that I've been going through. Think and Grow Rich and Your Wish is Your Command by Napoleon Hill, by a gentleman by the name of Kevin Trudeau. This originally is an audio series, so I listened to one CD or audio one every night, and I mixed it with one chapter of Think and Grow Rich. Surprisingly, there are 13 steps, keys to riches, 13 steps for Napoleon Hill, and then there are 13 main CDs, 14 generally, in this audio series. If you haven't listened to it, I will leave a link below where you can get a copy online to listen to it for yourself. But I encourage you out there, who's ever seeking whatever you're seeking, get those two things, Think and Grow Rich and Your Wish is Your Command. So for me, I'm going to be comparing the two really quickly here, giving you like a crunched up masterclass. So you get it real fast and you don't have to take too much time. So the main thing that both of the authors are talking about is that our brain is used as a transmitter and receiver of information. This comes straight from Napoleon Hill back in the early 1900s. So we're not here to debate that. And Kevin Trudeau gets his information from an organization he was a part of called the Brotherhood, where he was getting information from. So I've researched both of this information very deeply. And the principles are the same, just different teachers. So one thing I did notice that in Your Wish is Your Command, in CD number 5, or audio number 5, Mr. Trudeau talks about how the brain is a transmitter and receiver of thoughts and vibrations. And we create with that. That's where the source of creation normally starts from. And he goes into further explaining 3 ways in which you can create your desire, being specific, general, or just be put in the feeling. Now, in Think and Grow Rich, in chapter 1 on desire, he mentions 6 steps to get what you desire. 6 steps. And there he tells you to fix in your mind the exact amount of money you want. This is very specific how he has that done. And so when I compared that audio number 5 with chapter number 1 here, I started to see the similarities of what Mr. Trudeau and Napoleon were both trying to let us know. Actually, I beg to differ. The first step to riches is desire, which is chapter 2. Just so that you guys can see that. Hopefully you guys can get a copy for yourself and go through it. It's very important to get information for yourself. Very, very important. So I compared those two. So one of the chapters that I really recommend here is the one on autosuggestion. Autosuggestion is step 3. How you reprogram your mind. How you read your statement once or twice or more than that daily. And in Your Wish is Your Command, Kevin does have you go through certain steps and processes to reprogram your mind by continuously listening to the audios over and over again during a spaced repetition format. And just like reading over and over again. So people read the book once and said they've read the book. Have you done their practices? No. They're like 4 or 5, or I make more than that, about 5 or 6 exercises, action steps that are written in the book. First one is the 6 steps. Second one is self-confidence. That's in the 5th chapter. And then it keeps going on. There's the other one, summary of instructions. That comes from auto-suggestion. So the book is packed full with techniques, suggestions, action steps that one should take in conjunction with their own thoughts. Just the same thing in Your Wish is Your Command. It tells you the first 4 audios, or the first 4 audios, is the basic foundation, fundamentally, of where the information came from and why we would consider listening to it in the first place. So I'm like, okay, great. So let me gather some information there. Because anywhere I hear the name Napoleon Hill, I start investigating very deeply, because it's been very fascinating to me how this man was able to collect all this information over time and then put them together back in the early 1900s. I mean, Think and Grow Rich is from 1937, but the original origins are from the Law of Success in published in 1925, but he had 20 years to go through it. Mr. Trudeau's information comes from that organization, I guess, that club, that group that held that information. That's why he was able to understand it and share it in this series. So once again, if you haven't heard it, get yourself a copy, and also get yourself a copy of Think and Grow Rich. These are two things that I've been going through on myself and experimenting and having others bring in comments so we can both see how we're both comparing notes. And another very interesting thing about the Your Wish Is Your Command series, at CD number 8, which is generally like to feel good now, CD number 9, it goes directly into the principles of the money-making secrets from Napoleon Hill. So the information, I'm cross-referencing back and forth, I'm seeing the similarities, I'm making the connections, I'm taking notes, and I'm figuring out that in Think and Grow Rich, he might tell you to do a practice, leave a date. There's so much debate about whether we should leave a date or we don't leave a date. Two different trains of thought. You decide what you want. There's no good or there's no bad, but when you pick a date, some people say it might bring in pressure. But something I did realize going through Which Is Your Command and through that information, that even if you do pick a date or you pick an amount, keep it within reason. Once again, remember that, within reason. So you might have a goal, you might have a target, you might have a desire, and they might tell you in one form of train of study, pick a date and hold it, or pick a number and hold it. That might give you some pressure, might not give some other people some pressure. But it's up to you. You decide how you wish to do that. But the bottom line from both of these and anything you might study out there is, one, get a goal in mind. Fix it in your mind. Take it from your mind down to paper. That's the first step. Everyone's like, oh, let me put it in my phone. You can put it in your phone. But back in the 1920s when they originated putting this on paper, there were no phones that you could. I had to write it back on paper. Blue pen, white paper, cursive writing. If you understand that, you understand that. Cursive writing, blue pen and white paper. If you do that, then you're activating certain neurons in your mind that connected to your creating that mind formula. So, remember, Think and Grow Rich. Your Wish Is Your Command. Great, great, great material for those studying self-development. It's not for everybody. It is definitely not for everybody. Some people are still thinking Napoleon Hill was a scam artist. I'm like, how? But I allow people to have their own judgments and criticisms and beliefs. But those two informations that I've received have helped me to align myself and understand it a lot more. So I'm happy and grateful that anybody who's following me, give it a try. If you have any questions or you want to talk more on any of the chapters or any of the audios, please, please, please leave a comment below, because it'll help me to learn more about it, and then we can be able to discuss it. Because it's one thing when you're reading information or you're studying information on your own at home. It's kind of great. But when you're able to talk about it back and forth with other people, it helps you to have a deeper understanding and other cognitions and moments in your mind when you're like, oh, okay, I get it more deeper. So I'm always encouraging discussions, comments. I try my best to answer all your comments because it helps me to understand myself and the material a lot more deeper, especially when some of the information has already been altered, should I may say, from the original. This is the 1937. The 1938, they're even updated versions. you don't need an updated version. What you need is the original version. Like one of the chapters, I'll add a little bonus here for you guys. One of the chapters here is called Yep, you read that right. How to Outwit the 6 Ghosts of Fear. That was a chapter he put in there. He was very reluctant to put that in the book because people were like talking that we don't get it. And then that whole chapter became the source of this book, Outwitting the Devil. Outwitting the Devil came out as an expanded version of that last chapter. And this book wasn't released immediately. If I remember correctly, Sharon Lecter and some other people got some permissions to release it. All I know it was released maybe in the 2010 or so, maybe like almost 100 years or so later. Investigate that on your own. If I find out more information, I might make a video on why it wasn't released immediately. I think the wife kept it for a while and they gave it to the daughter, and the daughter now gave it to the Napoleon Hill Foundation years later. That's a whole nother rabbit hole going down. But for right now, let's stick with the point. Think and Grow Rich and Your Wish is Your Command. Find them anyhow you can. Listen to them in audiobook format or whatever, and get the facts for yourself and make your own judgments. So, thank you so much. Have a great day. Until the next video.